Okay guys, I'm going to show a couple examples of how to extract data or pull data down from either a web scraper or another database. And as you can see from some of my examples, it's not always a clean and easy process, but at this stage in the game, the main thing that I want you to do is have identified a database and start trying to download it and import it into a Google spreadsheet and then a Google Fusion table. I don't expect the data to be perfect. I don't expect you to not have problems. I think you will have some challenges and issues, and then I want you to write about that, and then I'll help you work through some of those issues. So what I'm going to do is go through one example here that is the weather reporting stations list. So I go to this link that I've already posted for you and go to the scraper wiki, and again, as we mentioned earlier, it looks like the scraper wiki is broken. I don't know how to fix that, and I'm not going to worry about it. What I'm going to go is look at the data that was retrieved, the last bit of data that was retrieved. And one thing that I noticed here is this has 24,754 records, so that's a lot of data. I don't need that much necessarily to complete this exercise, and that might even cause me some problems. So I'm going to download that as a CSV, separated value file, and I'm going to hit click, and it will go through the process and download that file. Now I've already downloaded it previously, so I'm actually already done. So I'm going to go to show that in the Finder where I've downloaded that file, and you can see that I've previously downloaded. This is the third time I've downloaded that. But what I want to do initially is open this up in Microsoft Excel. Hopefully all of you have Excel on your computer. Most of the computers these days either come with Excel or you can get it as a student version. If you have trouble with that and need to find that, let me know and I'll give you a link or tell you how to download and install that through download.uky.edu. But basically what I'm going to do is double click on that file and open it up into Microsoft Excel and just look at the data. And I notice that it has some numeric values here for the air temperature, what else, dew point, humidity value. There's a longitude and a latitude. I don't really know why those are expressed so far apart from each other. So what I'm going to do is select the row for latitude and hit Control X, and then go up here in front of longitude and move that column over so that I have latitude and longitude close to each other. And then there's wind pressure or wind direction and wind chill. So these are all bits of data that I'm really interested in. I tried earlier to import this as an Excel or a CSV file directly into Google Docs as a spreadsheet, and it had trouble. It couldn't import it. I suspect that it's because there's like 24,000 rows of data here, so way more than probably it's able to work with at this point. So just to get a good sample in here, what I'm going to do is take like the first 500 pieces of data or so, and just so I've got something good that I can work with and play with, and then if I get things working I can figure out how to use more of the data later. So I'm going to go down here to, I'm scrolling down to about row 500, and I'm going to select from there to the top of this spreadsheet. And if you do anything like this or manipulate the database, you do want to make sure that you get the first column, and typically that's going to be the names of the field. So code, pressure, name, dew point, those are the names of the fields for this data table. So this table has each row here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a record of data, and each column represents a field of data. So now that I've selected all of those, I'm going to hit Control C to copy and then make a new workbook, and then I'm just going to select and paste this into that new workbook. I'm just going to convert it to a new format. That's fine. And I see that I still have latitude and longitude here. If I scroll down to the bottom, I should see that I only have about 500 pieces of data, and so that's fine. I'm going to work with that at this point. So I'm going to go and hit File, Save As, and I expect you guys to do these things. You might grab a large data set, you find that it's too big, and in this exercise for this module, all I want you to do is work with a data set that has maybe at least 300 pieces of data in it, just so that we can work through some of the examples. So I'm going to call this weather stations 500, and I'm going to just make a note that I changed the latitude and longitude column. So I'm going to save this, and now I'm saving this in the Google document folder that we should have created for all of us, called ITIQ VisLab AS300 202 Fall 2012. So I'm going to save this here so you guys can all see that file also. And then, so I have it as an Excel spreadsheet. I may or may not have needed to manipulate that as an Excel spreadsheet, but now what I'm going to do is go in and I'm going to go to my Google Docs, and I should see that file here, Weather Stations 500 Lat Lon XLS. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start. Actually, I think I could actually go ahead and import that as a Google Fusion table directly, but I'm going to go through an intermediary process and bring it in as a spreadsheet. So I'm going to create a spreadsheet and then try to File, Import, choose a file. I'm going to bring in that weather station 500 file, and I'm just going to go ahead and create a new spreadsheet and say import, and this may or may not work. Sometimes it doesn't, and you have to try another method. Looks like a file imported successfully, but no uploaded preview, not supported this time. And I could create a new spreadsheet or replace an existing one. I'm just going to go ahead and create a new spreadsheet and hit import. Did it do it? Don't know that it did. I'm going to go back to my folder here, and it doesn't look like, oh, it might have created one, so I'm going to go back to my drive. Yeah, it looks like I hit that button twice or 3 times, and I created 3 of those. So I'm just going to delete 2 of them, and then take my weather station lat/lon file, and I'm going to go ahead and drop it into that shared folder so that you guys have access to that. So you'll notice when I created and imported that, it just created it into my documents or my drive. It didn't put it in this shared folder. And what I'd like you guys to do at some point is you'll be sharing your files that you're working with the rest of the group. Initially, if you just want to keep them in a folder for yourself, that's fine. So now I see that this, you can see from the icon here, it's the initial one was an Excel file, and now it has created it as a Google spreadsheet. So I can click on that as a Google spreadsheet and look at that, and I can look at the data within that file. So air temp, code, pressure. And I can see that I still have latitude and longitude and other variables in this data set, and I should be able to scroll down, and it should show that there's about 500 pieces of data. So that's good. So later we'll do some visualization exercises where we're looking at dew point or wind direction or wind chill or something like that with this data. what I want you to do tonight or today in this module, Module 2, is I want you to create a Google Fusion table out of this and create a map. So I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to close this out, go back to my shared folder, and I'm going to go over to the Create button, which again you only have access to in your regular Google account. You don't have it in your @g.uky Google account from UK yet because this is beta. So I'm going to go Create and pull down to the More tab and choose the beta. Choose the beta tab. And now I can choose a file from this computer, something that's already a Google spreadsheet, or another format. So I selected Google Spreadsheets, and now I'm going to choose the table here, weather stations, lat long. I don't know why my zoom has gotten weird. Okay, so I'm going to select that file. I tried this earlier and I still had some trouble with it, so I'm not sure that it's going to work, but I'm going to give it a try. And it's loading those 500 data points. So it looks like it worked, and the data looks similar. So now I'm going to, it's previewing that, and it's saying column names in a row is the first, are the columns named by this first row. So in this case, that's true. You could say 2, and then choose the second row. That's not what you want, so I'm going to go back to 1. Say yes, they're named there. I want to attribute the data to a scraper wiki, so I'm going to get the URL for that, and then I'm going to say I found this on a scraper wiki, and here's the URL, and I'm just going to say something like in notes to myself, imported first 500 rows. And that might take a little while. Now I can see that it has imported some data. Initially, I'm not really sure what the difference in yellow and other tags are. Maybe. So I've imported the data, and the first column is air temp, and then code, pressure at sea level, name of the weather station, the dew point is, and I can go through other fields by clicking these tabs. So I can see again air temp, longitude, it's weird, is latitude. Okay, so latitude is here. It looks like it's leaving air temp as the first column. So latitude and longitude are there. The state, and it looks like all of these weather stations are probably in Alaska. And I do notice that the longitude is the same on these. So actually, what looks like it's going, what looks like is happening here is it's taking samples from maybe the same weather station at different times throughout the day. So I might want to scroll down through here and look to see, and that's not very good. If the longitude doesn't appear to have changed. So it looks like the first 100 data points that I chose were maybe from the same weather station. So that may be something, yeah, that's not very fun. We may have to change that later or something like that. But what I'm going to do now is then go to visualize this and click on map. In some cases it may take your data and say it's geocoding, and that might take a long time, and what it will do is pick or determine the location based off of maybe an address field or something like that that you have in the file. So if you did have an address field, you can choose that through the location. So the location is determined by and you choose address or something like that, or state name, and then it would geocode that data. In this case, it already had a latitude and longitude, so it found data points for weather stations in Alaska. Now if I click on one of these, it looks like it's calling up one of the most current sets of data or records for that data station. That's all I really want you to do today, is get your data, or for this module, is get your data, for this module exercise, get your data, download it into maybe Excel, take the first 500 or so pieces of data, import that into a Google spreadsheet, and then import that into a Google Fusion table and visualize the data. If you've done that, it shows that you can find data, get data, clean it up a little bit, and import it, and that's it. Thanks.